You're sitting in a room. On the table in front of you is a candle, a box of thumbtacks, and a book of matches. Someone tells you to attach the candle to the wall so the wax won't drip on the table. You have 60 seconds. You'll try to melt the wax. You'll try to pin the candle straight into the wall, and you will fail. Not because you're unintelligent, but because your brain is running a program it installed when you were 6 years old, and you've never been able to uninstall it. This invisible program has bankrupted billion-dollar companies. It almost killed 3 astronauts. And right now, as you make career decisions, solve problems at work, and try to think of new ideas, it is running in the background of your mind, quietly locking doors you don't even know exist. It's called functional fixedness, and by the end of this video, you'll see it everywhere. Here's what most people do with that candle problem. You see the box, and your brain instantly categorizes it. That's a container. It holds thumbtacks. That's what it's for. So you ignore it as a tool and start forcing the candle onto the wall in ways that don't work. In 1945, a Gestalt psychologist named Carl Duncker put this exact puzzle in front of people and watched them struggle. He called the phenomenon functional fixedness, a mental block against using an object in any way other than its traditional purpose. The actual solution: empty the box, tack it to the wall, set the candle on top of it. The box was never just a container, it was a shelf the whole time. When researchers at Stanford gave this same problem to students decades later, only 23% solved it. But when they simply underlined the word box in the written instructions, drawing attention to it as a separate object, the success rate doubled to about 50%. The fixation is that fragile and that powerful. Here's where it gets strange. 5-year-olds don't have this problem at all. In 2000, researchers Tim German and Maggie Ann DeFader tested children of different ages on the same kind of task. The 5-year-olds solved it just as fast whether the box was being used as a container or sitting empty. They didn't care what the box was supposed to do. They just saw shapes and possibilities. But by age 7, 2 years later, the fixation had already taken hold. The older children struggled just like adults when the box was presented in its normal function. Think about that. Somewhere between your 5th and 7th birthday, your brain decided that objects have rules, and from that moment on, you started following those rules so automatically that you forgot they were optional. Now maybe you're thinking, sure, I get stuck with boxes and candles, but that's a lab experiment. My real life is different. It isn't. Functional fixedness is operating every time you assume there's only one way to solve a problem because that's the way it's been solved before. And it's not just a human quirk. In 2024, researchers published a study in Scientific Reports showing that chimpanzees exhibit functional fixedness too. They trained chimps to drink juice through a straw. Later, when the chimps needed to use that same straw to push a food pellet out of a tube, most of them couldn't do it. The straw was for drinking. End of story. Even the Shuar people of Ecuadorian Amazonia, a community with almost no exposure to manufactured consumer products, still show functional fixedness when objects are presented with a demonstrated function. It's not something your culture taught you, it's something your cognition does to you. But here's where it starts costing you real things, not just puzzle scores. Because what happens when you take this same invisible bias and you add money, deadlines, and a career on the line? It gets worse, much worse. In 1962, a psychologist named Sam Glucksberg ran Duncker's candle experiment again. But this time, he offered cash prizes. Solve it fast, win $5 or $20, which in today's money is roughly $50 to $200. For the easy version of the puzzle, where the tacks were already outside the box, the money helped. People were faster. But for the hard version, where overcoming functional fixedness was required, the incentivized group performed worse. They were slower. Fewer of them solved it at all. The pressure to perform locked their thinking into the most obvious conventional approach. Dan Pink brought this study to millions of people in what became one of the most watched TED Talks in history. His argument, the carrot and stick model of motivation, actively suppresses the kind of creative thinking that modern work demands. And this same pattern played out at the highest level of corporate strategy. Kodak's former CEO George Fisher admitted the company was trapped thinking it was in the Kodak business instead of the picture business. They had invented some of the earliest digital camera technology and still went bankrupt because they couldn't see their own products as anything other than film. So how do you get out? There's a real, tested technique, and it takes about 5 minutes to learn. Tony McCaffrey, a psychologist at the University of Massachusetts, developed what he calls the generic parts technique. For every object in your problem, you break it into its parts. Then you ask 2 questions. Can I subdivide this further? And this is the key. Does my description of this part imply a use? If yes, describe it more generically. So a candle becomes wick and wax. Wick implies burning, that's a use. Describe it more generically. A string. String implies tying, go further. Interwoven fibrous strands. Now suddenly you can imagine using it to bind things together. You've stripped away the assumption and uncovered the hidden possibility. In McCaffrey's experiments, people trained in this technique solved functional fixedness problems 67% more often than those who weren't trained. He also analyzed over 1,000 historically innovative inventions and found that every single one relied on the innovator noticing an obscure feature that everyone else had overlooked. A 2-liter Coke bottle filled with water and mounted through a hole in a tin roof refracts light 360 degrees, illuminating an entire room in a Philippine shanty with 0 electricity. The innovation wasn't the bottle, it was seeing the bottle as something other than a bottle. And this brings you back to the deepest part of the problem. The reason 3 astronauts on Apollo 13 didn't die of carbon dioxide poisoning is that the engineers on the ground looked at plastic bags, tape, and air hoses, objects that had nothing to do with air filtration, and saw them as exactly the right tools for the job. They didn't have different objects, they had different eyes. Functional fixedness isn't a flaw in your intelligence, it's a shortcut your brain built to save time, and it works right up until the moment it doesn't. The question isn't whether you have it, you do. Everyone does. The question is whether you can feel it happening in real time and choose to look again. You're still sitting in that room. The candle, the tacks, the matches, and the box. The box that was never just a box.